And we live. Welcome to the Dear Son Show, where we have real life conversations and help young men and boys realize now what we wish we knew then. I'm one of your hosts, Jay Black.
D. John's your other host.
What's up, brother?
Everything is fantastic, my brother.
Yeah.
Everything is good, man. Good week.
Listen, this month pushing, man. This month pushing. Network pushing.
Yeah.
National Women's History Month. Thriving.
On and popping.
Great content, great guests. I know this sound weird to the audience, but man, I'm a fan, man. I'm in the audience eating popcorn, watching and listening and tuning in.
Yeah.
How you feeling?
I feel good, man. I feel good, especially when you took on that interview.
Yeah.
And I got to sit to the side.
Yeah, come on.
So more of that in the future.
Yeah, it's coming.
I know you're working on your things with your school and all that.
Yes, sir.
But by the summer,
yeah,
I want to be in full producer mode at times.
Okay.
So you bring your your stories to the network, man. I know you got several of them. There's one that but we got to make that run to Houston.
Yeah, I'm with it.
Yeah, got to get
fact,
that.
let's absolutely do that before the fall get here. Let's
on camera.
put it on the books for summer.
On camera's got to be done now.
Yeah,
got to be done. How about you? How you feeling?
Same, man. I'm pushing. I'm motivated.
Yeah,
some great changes were implemented recently in some areas that needed those changes and updates, man, and upgrades. And I'll be able to speak on that a little later, but I'm excited, man. In due time.
In due time, man.
In due time. Without further ado, man, we doing a good job getting right to it.
Pew.
Today, and I kid you not, I can't wait to hear your response on this because I have no idea. He found out 30 seconds ago. But today we will be discussing conveniently finding ways to be convenient.
Yeah.
And go.
Yeah. So shortcuts, taking the easy way out and making that a way of life is what came to mind. And I have to be honest with myself throughout this conversation of where I have that energy. Some places I don't have it. Some places I'm very intentional about. But there's probably still some pockets that will uncover and what those pockets are demonstrating in terms of what my children should be doing.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
What were your thoughts? Because this is yours. You put it in the bank.
Me, that's one of my subcategories. However, it's more pressing would be path of least resistance isn't always the best method. You know, a lot of times we fall into business as usual when we have a conviction of knowing there's a better way, a smarter way, maybe possibly even more efficient. But the work that we have to put in to implement the changes that it's going to take for it to be that is sometimes what deters us.
Yeah.
So it's like I can conveniently get this done and be good.
Right.
If I leave it the way it is, or I can grit, grind, put this work in, sweat through it. It's going to cost me some time and effort.
Yeah.
But maybe it's going better after that.
Next level.
Yeah. So obviously to stay consistent with the platform, right now, we have a lot of transitions going on. Both of our sons, for the update the audience, we both have sons that are in their senior year of high school. You have two daughters prior that have already graduated high school.
Yep.
So with our sons getting ready to embark, if you will, on their journey, their life journeys, because high school, a lot of people treat a lot of milestones like this as a finish line, and man, we just talk about just getting started.
Yeah.
What are some
phase?
things?
Completing a phase. I'll give it that.
That's it.
Yeah, completing a phase.
Completing a phase. So do you notice or have you picked up on, like, maybe you haven't spoke on it, or maybe you will, or a conversation could be brewing, because I know a lot of times we'll like that, of, son, May is coming. And you may be doing a thing a certain way that's really, really convenient. Because you're just like, I'm okay with finishing.
Yeah.
I'm okay with wrapping this thing up.
Yeah.
But maybe you're taking the convenient way of wrapping this thing up. And I don't want to lead you too much into the question.
Yeah.
Are there any conveniences you'd like
man.
to address with your son
in
the last 2-3 months of his high school year?
Yeah. He just slept in a couple of days. And there was a time when I would intervene.
Yeah.
No more.
It's over with.
No more. Like you and I know he's in a good place, so I'm not rationalizing it.
Mm-hmm.
But we had the conversation several times.
Mm-hmm.
He knows the gravity of the decisions that he makes, the habits that he's forming now, and he's communicated that to me in a way that I know he actually understands it.
Yes.
So to that extent, you're making a choice that's going to be on you to not take this thing as serious as you should.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not that he's not taking school serious, but he's had a couple nights where he's like, man, I couldn't get to sleep last night. It's life. Life be like that, son. I mean,
Yeah.
like some nights I get 3 hours, but here I am.
Here I am.
Downstairs, getting stuff together, getting stuff done, and fitting you into life as a priority.
Yes.
So you gotta respond in kind and approach things in kind. And that's the one area that I'm working on now, is that start understanding or be more sensitive to the adjacent challenges you're causing.
Yeah.
It's not just about you being late to school. If me taking you to school fits into my schedule, then you might be bumping other things in my schedule. I might have a doctor's appointment. I might have a call, might have a consultation, any of these things.
Yep.
And you got to be aware of it. And what I don't like is sometimes he doesn't acknowledge it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Comes downstairs and looks at me like,
what?
Here I am.
Yeah.
I've been here.
Yeah.
I've been here. I'm on to the next thing, bro. You walking today? What you doing?
Right.
So that's one of the things. And it's probably partially my fault because I got loose on a couple of episodes talking about how I finished high school.
Yeah.
But the stark contrast there is that I was driving.
Right.
And I had to be way more responsible, which again is a knock on me in terms of making life comfortable. But it was my risks were calculated. I think he's had a couple lazy days, and I haven't flipped out.
Yeah.
Vocally.
No.
I've walked around.
Yeah.
I walked around the compound, letting them Jericho walls fall down.
Yeah.
And took 7 passes. But that's the major thing right now. And like I said, in conversation, I know he's still on track, but kind of release the reins.
Yeah. I'm there. I'm so there.
Yeah.
There comes plateaus, if you will, that you just, you just can't I can't keep gritting my teeth without saying something.
Yeah.
I see a lot and I try to let a lot go because again, we 3 months out.
Yeah.
No. 2.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Almost to the day.
Ooh, 2 months.
Almost to the day.
You got 60 days.
Yeah.
And I'm out. I got your mom over here on panic watch. This her firstborn baby.
Yeah.
Getting ready to take this grown man leap. So, we got paramedics on standby at the graduation for that. But,
right.
So schooling, to me, I think he's taken an extremely convenient approach. I think he's not downing him or bashing him, but I think he's overly counting on the level of support that he has. You're surrounded by a good village.
Yeah.
And this applies to adults as well. For parenting purposes, adults, sometimes we have such great friends and villages and support systems in place and friendships that we'll be like, if I'm slipping, he gonna say something.
Right.
If I'm not quite doing what I'm supposed to do with this college, mom gonna step in, dad gonna step in. They're not gonna let me just sit around and not get into the school. Who you talking to?
It ain't my school to put you in.
It's not my school.
Yeah.
I'm in school. So I'm ridiculously non-sympathetic to you not going, finishing, and because you have no issue with making certain that everything that has something to do with your party just went to a concert the other night.
I saw the pictures.
Listen, so now you done slid to the concert. You made sure you scheduled your haircut with me. You made sure you scheduled your outfit layout, The lady that did your hair on this part, and all these intricate parts and details.
It's gotta work.
I was like, man, look at this boy project managing over here.
Gotta work.
It's in there.
Yeah.
But it's not in there when it's inconvenient.
Yeah.
See, that's convenient to your likes and your wants and desires. You understand? So you have no troubles doubling down on that thing.
Yeah.
You're like, I'm running this, run it.
Yeah.
But then when it's like, son, did you actually call the university and inquire about the status of the application? Who would I call? Are you serious? Registrar's office, let's start there. Did you talk to any counselors? Did you make your name known? Put your name on some of these people's tongues so they can be like, I spoke with a genuinely nice young man.
Yeah.
Where's the application at? I don't see you doing any of these things. So, and it's not like you don't know that's a method. So I say that to say, as inconvenient as that is, the benefits far outweigh the inconvenience.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like he conveniently finds a way to kind of, look, y'all, I'm trying, so y'all can jump in here and help me try, but that's not necessarily accurate.
Yeah.
Or even if it is, stop leaving it on that level. So to go back to your initial point, you pointed out shortcuts.
Yeah.
You know, there's 300 avenues we could take with the shortcut deal. Shortcuts, let's start with consequence. Do you feel like, looking back, if there's a shortcut, a major shortcut that you've taken, that you, and we don't live in regrets here. Obviously, we don't do that. Is there a shortcut that helped instill, like, there's a shorter way to do this, but I'm not doing this anymore because of this instance?
XYZ.
Got anything like that you want to share?
Um,
Or it don't even have to be specific. It could be principle based. Like sometimes that shortcut, for instance, could be, I got this lined up today. I could do this Monday or I can do this Tuesday.
I can tell you where they backfired, because in high school came, the last couple of years of high school came easy. My first year, I definitely wasn't applying myself. It was a transition. I was new to public schools. So my parents gave me some grace. I was still on punishment, but gave me some grace. I don't think I saw the first 2 seasons of Martin, just to throw that out there. I was on restrictions. He was on restrictions in my house.
Yeah.
But what I can say is that, like, my study habits in high school, I may have mentioned it before, my study habits, I could kind of do flashcards 48 hours up until the test or major exam, read and regurgitate. And it absolutely didn't work in college. And relying on that approach, I adjusted my class habits. Like I didn't go, you know, and then when I would show up for a test, I thought I could rely on the old ways, the shortcuts of getting things done, and it didn't work.
Right.
And though that's a repetitive story, a theme, you know, on this platform, it impacts everything because of the route that it sent me to get to where I am today. Now I'm grateful. Like I said, we don't live in regret.
Right.
I wouldn't want any of my children to take the same route, because that's not progress.
Yeah.
Like to willingly take these delays in life that your father has already experienced.
Please.
Because he didn't tell you about them.
Right.
Or he didn't advise you. Now, if you choose to, you know, and I'm sure there'll be some of those choices, and I can see some of those brewing where it's, you know, life gonna have to give them this lesson. My sons and my daughters.
Yeah.
And part of what I was thinking when you were talking about like regrets and just the whole conveniently being convenient is like, what is the balance for jumping in, saving them, and letting life give them what they're saying they have to get from life? Because there's some lessons I could see my son approaching. I'm like, man, if he would only take the wisdom of my experience. But I kind of see the me in him.
Right.
That's absolutely going to go down this path of headbutt, trip, fall, here comes the train.
Yeah.
And I'm laying on the track.
Yes. For me, what helps me with that, or I try to use to help me with that, is the foreseeable outcome is so detrimental that I got to dig in here. Like, listen, some of this stuff that you're doing, you're going to bump your head. We talked about it. And if you would have listened, there are things that you're doing now that you would not be doing. So I know you're going to wrap your head. But this thing right here
Yeah.
is absolutely life altering. I got to say something.
Yeah.
And I got to say it in a way that makes it uncomfortable. Like this one can't be sugar coated. This one can't even come with a grain of salt. I got to give it to you all the way, like rough. I got to give you hey man, you do this. This is about to happen. And all this other stuff you got right here, you can hang it up.
Yep.
I'm telling you right now. Like, that's harsh. I want it to be. It's
Mm-hmm.
meant to be. Because, for instance, like we pull up the other night, I don't know the other side of it, but I am saying I'm mindful of this. And these real candid conversations. This how we operate with the audience. My wife and I went to a function last week.
Mm-hmm.
So the littles were still here. They're out of town for spring break, but they were here. So when we have stuff like that, they're on autopilot. But hey, stick around the house, man. Just make sure the kids don't move the house to another place and we don't know it.
Phineas and Ferb.
Yeah, please. So we come back, man. We pull up into the driveway and she run in the house and I'm gathering our things out of the vehicle. And before I could close my door good, he parks out in the front of the house.
Gone.
So I jokingly say to my wife, like, was he sitting in the vehicle waiting on us to pull up? Like, man, they need to come on. I got somewhere to be.
Right.
I don't know, man. It's probably 9 p.m.
Yeah.
And you dip. Like, you in the truck. Like my 17, 18-year-old young man mind kicks in. What is it that I could possibly have on my plate at 17, 18 years old that I'm in the vehicle with my foot tapping, waiting on my parents to pull up so I can go get to it?
Smooth skin and long hair.
Yeah, we're going to have to.
That was me.
Yeah, we're going to have a conversation. I'm not, do your thing to an extent. Don't take that the wrong way. But
he is 18.
But he 18.
Oof.
So young man, hey, it's time for us to revisit some conversations we've had. We've had some conversations in that area.
Yeah.
It's time for some revisits because now
man,
I'm watching the focus. Boy, that focus getting on items that could absolutely become distractions from the bigger goal and have greater life consequence to those decisions, right? So I say that to loop back. I was headed somewhere with that as far as the
him shooting out him the responsibility piece of it.
Well, yes, the responsibility portion of it, but it was. I'll come back to it because I don't want to do a disservice by throwing it together. So my other point that I had, let's shift into the parenting portion of it. As a parent, I've had issues that I've needed to deal with or discuss or address, but I knew if I would just hold on a minute, my wife was going to jump in on it anyway. Finding a way to conveniently be convenient.
Mm-hmm.
What do you do this? And this kind of is a spinoff, if you will, of the default parent deal that we discussion we had.
Mm-hmm.
Do you find yourself conveniently saying, I could say something, but I know my wife got it. Or I'm gonna let the wife handle that. And it's right there in front of you, but I just don't have the time right now to address it.
Short answer is yes.
Yes.
The honest me out the window down the mountain answer is some of that has been out of like role assignment. Knowing that my wife didn't grow up like that.
Yes.
Some things I think have a place, like if, my daughter's have an issue of a female nature.
Yeah.
That's specifically of a female nature, I would expect. Not that I couldn't broach the conversation and say, hey, we'll get you an answer. I'm going to discuss it with your mom or make sure you and your mom have time to talk about it.
Right.
But there are things where I'm like if I see something not being done, And in my mind, I'm like, I grew up this way. I had these responsibilities. My mom had these responsibilities. My sister had these responsibilities. Sometimes I look at it like that, again, knowing that's just not how she grew up.
Right.
Which is unfair.
Right.
Especially if I have the knowledge of it. So it's probably more along those lines than pure to my convenience. I'm not going to say anything.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to say anything. Now, in that same realm, I know I could demonstrate like completing the task, showing that everybody, if you see it, do it kind of mentality. And that will probably go a lot further than just me having an expectation that somebody's going to do it. And we just had a conversation about this the other day, is like just expectations. Having expectations of us where we are today. Because that's another thing. That's how you grew up and what you implement in your marriage. And then there changes over time, things shift. Like we were just talking about the phases. So we got a different, our household is very different now than it was 2 years ago.
Yes.
Let alone 10 years ago.
Yes.
So that's probably where I take advantage of it, is I'll still kind of be in my head, well, I didn't do this growing up. So yeah, I'll leave it to her to kind of figure that thing out with them, which is not,
Yeah, I like I say, I'm guilty of it to an extent as well. It's the whole, if typically if it's dealing with something emotional, for me, because she does a good job of keeping them balanced. As far as if they're emotional about something, and a lot of times my approach is I just want to nip it in the bud, make it stop, make it go away.
Yeah.
Where she wants to talk about it, discuss it, unpack it. How do we get here? How can we avoid getting here again?
Yeah.
Sure, that's the best thing to do. That's the most emotionally mature and responsible thing to do. Convenient, not always convenient.
Right.
But the importance of approaching it that way outweighs your inconvenience, right? So with that, my wife and I, we just made 10 years.
Dope.
Marriage. It was this past week, 10-year anniversary. Y'all anniversary coming up
next week.
So,
goddamn.
Yes, yes. This is parenting. Dear Son platform is absolutely about reaching out, having an impact on our sons. But part of that is the intelligence of, this is what a relationship looks like. Yeah. This is what marriage looks like.
This is what men experience.
This is what men experience. And this is the part that I didn't have men sitting down having conversations with me about what makes an effective relationship or marriage, right? So I'm glad you said that. That was a good segue into our next portion of the conversation about, y'all have conversations about the state of the union, if you will. Like, this is our marriage. This is what it looks like. This is what I enjoy. These are some things I do not enjoy. And the same in my household. We do the same. I want to touch on the importance of that aspect of the marriage.
Yeah.
It's the conveniently finding a way to be convenient and not have those conversations could be the detriment of your marriage. So knowing that, it's very important to not put off the conversation. You can also say, hey, I'm going to have that conversation. We're going to have that conversation next week.
Right.
Like, let's schedule Monday to sit down and have that conversation. The problem is there are so many things that can go wrong between now and Monday that a conversation right now could possibly curve.
I thought you was on my side for a minute.
Could possibly curve misunderstanding that's brewing right now. It just hadn't quite come to a head yet.
Yeah.
So touch on that. Like I don't even want to go a certain way with it. It's wide open. Touch on
sliding. Slippery slope for me.
Yeah. Dress that thing up.
I am right now. Yeah. I'm that one.
Yeah.
And I think it's because, and I'll just speak to my household and my experience, not putting this on all women. when Keisha asked me to talk about something, it's not the start of it. It's, the case has been, I'm not saying the case has been tried, but she's been thinking through it probably a week or two.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it's way more pressing for her because she has more invested in the matter just due to the time spent thinking through it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So when it comes to me and I'm doing something random, it's like, hey, can we talk about such and such right now? Or and she's older. And I want to be clear that she's older. I'm just being honest about who I am.
Right.
Because me, if you want to get me until I'm better, right? Until I'm healed through this thing. If you want to get the knee-jerk response that I really don't want to give you as a long-term response, put me in that situation. To where I can't, to where it's now or never.
And that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah. So when it's a now or never thing, and that could be the urgency. So this is not about vilifying or even having a reason to validate anybody's feelings. In this case, my wife, right? Feelings that she got is feelings that she got.
Yeah.
I'm learning to negotiate a little bit of time. We can still have it right now-ish, but I had to learn to communicate like, hey, give me a moment, because what's rushing to me right now is not actually going to solve the thing.
Yes.
I'm feeling the way because I feel like I'm being pinned up against the wall. And anytime I feel like that, I'm gonna get out.
Right.
Get out by force.
Right.
So it's it's sometimes it's, she'll ensure that it happens. Cause I hit her with a right now. And I'm thinking right now is gonna be interpreted as, oh, he needs time. Whether I need time or not, if she got a right now need, it's a right now need. So
we got to get to it.
That's something that I wish I had more intelligence on earlier in the marriage. Because earlier in the marriage, she was less, assertive about it.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's like, over time, it's like reclaiming my time, taking up space. Like, I'm not making light of that, but it's a very real thing, because how you start is not always how you finish.
Right.
Like, the people that started the marriage aren't the people that are in the marriage until the marriage is no longer.
Right.
Shouldn't be anyway.
Right.
So that for me, it's still a growth area, because I think the difference is I'm less likely to have, which is terrible, I'm less likely to force the conversation the longer I think about a thing, because I start to think my way out of, I start to try the case already.
You could have solved it for both sides and everything.
You know what? No, you probably gonna say this. I'm probably gonna say that. Which again is not good. So it's finding that middle ground. I hate the word balance, because it's what life needs, life gets. That's kind of how it works. Mm-hmm. But finding middle ground more often than not of accommodating the timing of the conversation and still making sure that I can at least breathe and let the right words come out to take this before that thing goes 9x.
I agree. And believe it or not, you didn't give yourself enough credit in that. You're leaps and bounds ahead of a lot of men.
Ooh.
as it pertains to that topic. I'm better now than I've ever been.
Sure.
At that. So, again, the one of the most important things you said is in the beginning of the marriage versus today, mm-hmm. you should be different. Like, pride yourself on being different in a positive manner, though.
Mm-hmm.
Like, hopefully you didn't deteriorate, mm-hmm. or the marriage didn't, and y'all just sticking it out because you think that's what you have to do,
right? But
you're not putting any work in trying to get it in a positive mode. But I too need like let me dig into it. Let me process. Like, if you walk up, I don't want to discredit your feelings because they are valid. They're absolutely valid. But again, you've had time to sit down and meditate, think, organize,
Mm-hmm.
word. You know, maybe you took some of the edge off some of your thoughts and words. Whereas mine right now is in the raw.
Unprocessed.
And I can I cannot.
Yeah, for the sake of us.
Yeah. I cannot, for the sake of us, afford to perhaps, if this is something that triggers me that way or strikes me that way, give you a in the raw response. That's not fair to you, and it's not fair to me. So perhaps and I don't want to, I'm not suggesting that you give me an outline so that I can go study it and get the right answers. But at the same time, you know, just be mindful of this fresh for me.
Yeah.
So if we talk about it right now, right this minute, I want to be candid, I want to be honest, and I will. It's just that maybe some of the responses are going to be a little harsh.
Yeah.
Because I haven't had a chance to think about it and be like, I want to say this, but I don't really want to say it just like this, but I still want to make sure that this message is conveyed.
Right.
There's nothing or no harm in that, but you kind of lose that benefit when you dump it on me and like, I got to get this out right now.
Yeah. And it doesn't even have to be harsh. I know that may be the inference. Maybe I said that. It could be my response doesn't come across as seriously as you've taken it in your head.
Right.
Because you just dropped this in and I'm like, for real? And like ignite, tick, tick, tick,
That's
boom.
gas.
Yeah.
That's gas.
And it's not to be malicious, but it's like, that's how you caught me. There wasn't even a sign. And maybe that's another thing, you know, read the room. I've said that before and I'm getting better at that. If you know something's brewing.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
different.
Sometimes you still try to take it out, but because nobody said anything, and I'm growing out of that phase too.
Yeah.
But if it's not clear that something is awry, and especially like I said, the phrase is of a certain age. My wife is of a certain age, so I know that there are things that are transitioning and happening that you just got to take because nature said so.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that is not talking. That is
that's
science.
That's science.
Biology or whatever G ends in that one. But that's that is something to, maybe we should have I would love to have a panel discussion about that.
All men, mixed panel. What do we want to do?
Both, because I want to understand men that have gone through it.
Yes. Successfully.
Maybe men that are struggling through it, men that are in it.
Yes.
Because there's like, sometimes it's a real challenge to who you are as a man to just take something because nature is doing it.
Correct. Right.
And I would never want to switch places to have that. It's not even a freedom, but like, I don't
want nothing to do with it.
Nothing.
Y'all can have all of it.
The entirety of it.
The birth, all of it.
In its entirety.
Yeah.
But it will be interesting to have that conversation. I think it probably helps some people because, again, this is, you know, we talk about what I wish my father told me. This is not a conversation that we had.
It's not.
So that would be very valuable insight to me at 9:00, let alone, you know, people that are coming up on it or will see it someday.
Right. Because I have not witnessed from my dad a successful marriage. My dad was married and divorced twice. So to stay on par with the convenience conversation, there's a lot of habits that I've noticed, observed over the years that it seems like it's built around convenience and not tolerating a lot of inconveniences.
Yeah.
But the lesson in that is, this is what this looks like.
Yeah.
At what cost? I always tell people that's my motto moving forward. At what cost? So sure, son, nephews, young men, when you're walking around and your chest is poked out about how inconvenient it can be to Oh man, she don't want me to go out tonight. She want me to sit down, or she don't want me to go hang out with the guys, or we just go and play basketball, man. And she tripping. Man, that's an inconvenience for me to. No, I thought you said we were gonna go. I need you to go do this with me, or let's run to the store. It's very inconvenient. So you'll conveniently find a way to be convenient by maybe you'll do one of the grocery store things where they go shop for you and load the car and bring it to the crib. But now, did you get it done? Sure. Is that box checked? Sure. Is that the method that was requested? You don't know what the motivation was.
Yeah.
Maybe it's, hey, you've been busy a lot lately, and I'm just not saying that. This is a way for us to go spend time together.
Yep.
So you just missed that opportunity. So now because you just missed that opportunity, she like, you're just throwing me together. So you're willing to go through all of these changes to go and schedule time with your friends. Y'all reserve the place to go and interact when y'all do meet up together. She hears reservations.
Mm-hmm.
She hears block out of schedule
Yeah.
on calendar. She hears, hey, block out the world. Don't bother. Please don't interrupt or intervene. Let me enjoy this. So if you display these character traits and abilities with your friends, but it's been, I haven't been on a date. We haven't been out to a restaurant. We haven't been to a show. We haven't been, and it's like, but I gotta work. I got this going on. I got a meeting. I got, it sounds like this is inconvenient to your work schedule. However, you inconvenienced your work schedule for your play schedule. But I'm not getting none of that energy over here.
Yeah.
Be careful with that, guys. Son, please. When you get to the marital phase, even the serious dating phase, it's worthy of that same adjustment as well.
Yeah.
Do not get caught up in showing your mate, your spouse, your wife, your girlfriend, whatever she is, I can do this. But then when she like, we haven't done anything in a while, put something together, baby. Let me know I'm there. But that's not the energy that your homeboys get. You get it? So that's another form of conveniently finding a way to be convenient.
What jumped out at me with the grocery solution was be mindful of the problem that you think you're solving. Make sure you actually understand the problem before you solve it, or before you consider it solved. Because that's a very real thing to, and it can be frustrating it'll be frustrating for you as well, because in your mind, you've done a good thing, but because it wasn't solving or scratching the actual itch, it perpetuates. And now you get to that place where you feel, well, I can't do nothing right. She don't appreciate nothing I do. Well, you got to do the things that resonate with her, right? And this is not simp forward, because the other side of that when you mentioned it earlier, we were talking about what the focus is of sons 17 to 18 and moving for their interests.
Mm-hmm.
Like you gotta, son, don't be mindful of the woman that's too convenient. Because there's likely some legitimate challenges that are embedded there that you're not actually equipped to solve.
Yes.
So don't go being a partner to her problem when you can't actually solve it. You're not doing her a service. So anytime, it seems like you being there and y'all getting physical and there's smiles and laughter for the short time, but you know full well that there's some things that aren't right about it, right? No. This some parts of it shouldn't be so convenient, and I'll let y'all in your mind run wherever that goes.
Please, because listen,
positive and negative.
Please, that's very important. That may be one of the top 2 highlights of this entire conversation, because that convenience ultimately is the most inconvenience you'll ever experience in your life.
Most detrimental.
On the negative side.
Yeah.
Because everything changes due to over convenience in that area. Absolutely.
And it
my.
could be misleading to you because I don't know if you've experienced it, but if like a young lady that's into you and you know she's way more into you than you are to her, and she'll drop anything to get time with you because she's just into you. Right. And it happens. It happens
Yes.
both ways.
Yes.
And you start managing it accordingly. I know she gonna, you know what I'm saying? If I tell her to pull up, she gonna pull up.
Right.
If I hit it at 2:30 a.m., she gonna drive. You know what I'm saying? So now you're creating an expectation and you're taking advantage of probably some insecurity that she has, that even if you do get to the point where you're committed long term, at some point that's gonna start to unravel.
It is.
Right? Either she's gonna completely devote everything to you and she has no life and realizes that she's making you her priority and she's not a priority. That's going to be a problem.
You don't want it.
Yeah, that's definitely going to be a problem. And that could either be a hard left or she could stay in it and she cannot be fulfilled. Like either way, either the buck and I'm not doing this no more, or I'm going to sit in it and not be fulfilled and feel less than a woman. Them ain't the parts that you want to sign up for.
Or part 3, don't leave part 3 out. You my world. I have nothing else. I purposely did not create anything else. I have no other adult interaction. I have no other friendships. I have no other relationships. I'm starting to expect the same out of you.
Oof.
When do you
hard
have
left?
time?
I won't expect you to say that.
Boy.
Ooh.
Hey, why you going to talk to people and friends?
I don't.
And
yeah.
I don't do it.
Oof.
And I'm surviving. Are you though? You're not. That's the most unhealthy thing you could ever do is lose yourself into someone to the point where you're no more good to anybody, not even yourself.
Especially early.
Early. You don't have anything. You don't have another soul in the world except for this one person because you pouring your everything into this one person. I don't want to be loved like that.
Yeah. Be mindful of anything that comes too conveniently.
Please. We didn't say at the top of the hour to please make certain that you like, share, subscribe, pay attention, lock in. Great conversations, great focus, determination, intentionality. All of these things are important in parenting. All of these things are important to pour into our youth. All of these things are important to pour into these young men. I say all the time, Dijon says all the time, a lot of times we run into society where they're writing these young men off. Sure, there's a problem. There are issues out there, but there are a lot of great, positive, strong young men out here. And you'll listen to the negative narrative so much that you'll start to buy into it. You'll write the entire generation off. Oh man, this generation is ignorant. They don't know anything. That's not accurate. That's not true. It's not the whole. Be mindful of absolutes. Do not fall into the absolute trap to where you think everybody's bad. And if you do feel like that, what are you doing about it? What's the fix? What's the supply? I feel like it was a great, strong conversation, brother. What you got in I don't want to say closing thoughts, but you know, what you got for the audience?
Definitely closing thoughts, man. I refuse to lower my expectations.
Yes.
So that's part of why the network is, because we can't touch everybody, but we can make it available to everybody that wants to take the information, take the lesson.
Yes.
I think it's dangerous when we start this generation is like this, and we write them off and we lower our expectations. No matter how true the narrative or the stereotype is of that generation, you only exacerbate it when you lower your expectations.
Yes.
Because now you don't think they can be more than that. It's one thing to be that, but to paint the picture to them that you can't be more than this, and I agree with that.
Right.
We're not on that here. So
no.
You know.
By no means. Won't accept it. We refuse to accept that.
Yep.
So we got some information to share, some more product. We tell you about it every time, but we got something for your eyes today.
Yes. Finally got not finally. This time have the book Chocolate Princess Volume 1, written and directed. The movie is not out yet, but written by my wife, Lakeisha Johns. You can find it at lovekeishaj.com. We have copies printed, ready to ship. You can also find it on Amazon if you prefer, under Lakeisha Johns as the author. So we appreciate that support. getting Dear Son merch, the new link is in. However you're getting this, the link is available. So if you're on YouTube or Facebook, it's in the description. If you're on audio platforms, it's in the description as well.
Yes. And just like that, be mindful, stay focused, be intentional. God bless you. Peace.